Hello everyone, welcome to another video, and today I'll be discussing why Didact versus Homelander isn't close. So to start off, we have the Didact. The Didact was introduced in Halo 4, and he is an ancient Forerunner warrior. Now, I'll get into his story a bit later, but all you need to know for now is he's incredibly strong, he has telekinesis, he can fire beams from his hands, and he's the most powerful enemy Master Chief has ever faced in the Halo series, excluding the Flood. Now, secondly, we have Homelander. Homelander was born in 1981. He was an experiment by Vought Labs, and they tried to create the perfect superhero. However, they did terrible experiments on Homelander, and it ended up turning him into a psychopath and an incredibly big narcissist. So, Homelander has superpowers. He can fly. He has heat vision. And with those introductions out of the way, I'll first get into the Didact's deeper story. Now, the Didact was a Forerunner that lived eons ago before the main Halo universe takes place. He fought in the human Forerunner War, and what ended up happening is that all of his children ended up dying in the human Forerunner War. So, understandably, this made him very angry at humanity, and it led him to have a grudge against humans in general. So, as the war went on, the Forerunners would slowly start to win over humanity. However, it would be too late that the Forerunners would realize humanity had only started the war with the Forerunners because they were trying to escape from something called the Flood. Now, the Flood is a parasite that can infect nearly anything, and it is incredibly dangerous. Now, the Forerunners ended up building something called the Halo Array and the Halo Rings to get rid of the Flood, the food source of the Flood. This ended up working. However, the Didact was against the idea. But in the end, the Didact was betrayed by his own wife, the Librarian, and he was sealed in a cryptum for countless years, eons. Eventually, in Halo 4, the Master Chief accidentally frees the Didact, and that's when the Master Chief has to fight the Didact in order to save all of humanity. Now, moving on, I wanted to talk about the Didact's strength and his powers. The Didact is able to single-handedly defeat Spartan tools like nothing. You can see in this panel, he's able to stomp on the ground and cause Spartan tools to just fly up in the air, which is very impressive because Master Chief's suit weighs more than 1,000 pounds, and Spartans are extremely heavy, and that's not easy to do, yet he casually does it. The Didact is also able to shoot beams out of his hands. So you can see in this, it's from one of the Halo books, but you can see it says he waves one arm, then execute a brief wave in the air with his fingers. The pieces of armor floated out of the chamber, and the Didact assumed a position of rolling, arms extended. The armor sections surrounded his limbs, his torso, and finally the top of his head, in shimmering pale bands that floated centimeters above his skin. I was surprised by the humbleness of the armor's design. My father's armor was far more ornate, yet he was not the stuff of legend. Such were the summatory rules of Forerunners. Even the great Promethean must dress below the style of any builder. There must be a reason why my wife is not here to greet me, the Didact said when he was fully clothed. He stretched his arms to the stars. Beams shot from his fingers, and he sketched out several constellations, as if commanding the stars to move. I felt strangely surprised when they did not. The beams dimmed and went out, and he curled his fingers into fists. You know nothing. So we can see from this short excerpt from a Halo book that the Didact is capable of making and shooting energy beams from his hands. And then the Didact is also capable of summoning Promethean Knights and Promethean Watchers. We see this in the Halo comic book where he's fighting Blue Team, and suddenly out of nowhere he just summons all these Knights and Watchers to fight Master Chief and Blue Team. And he's proof that he can fire beams from his hands. We can see him easily punch a Spartan to a side and shoot beams from his hands. Now that might look, the second panel, it might look like that's just a punch, but no. He's shooting a beam, and you can see it's a beam because of the rocks and other things getting destroyed in the background, and clearly the yellow, you can clearly see that's a beam, not just a simple punch. Now, Homelander has abilities as well. He can fly, which I stated earlier. He has heat vision, and he also has a large ego, which isn't an ability, but that's actually something that hurts him in this fight. Now, his heat vision, he's able to use it whenever given a solid, how do I put this? Whenever given solid information on just how much more powerful he can make it if he can crank it up, but we know it can be pretty deadly, and he was able to easily destroy a crowd of people just by using his heat vision on them. So, as I said, Homelander can fly as well, and in this battle, we're going to assume that the Didact's ship suddenly comes to Earth. The Mantles approach. It suddenly comes above Earth. Homelander and the Seven see it, and Homelander flies to confront the Didact. Now, Homelander will inevitably make it to where the Didact is in the ship, and a fight will begin. The Didact will speak to Homelander, asking who he is, and Homelander, in his usual egotistical tone, will say that he's the strongest person on Earth, or maybe he can do whatever he wants, but the Didact won't be impressed. Homelander is going to try to throw a punch at the Didact, but the Didact is going to block that, and he's going to trap Homelander using his telekinesis. Homelander is going to use his laser vision on the Didact, and it's going to temporarily distract the Didact and free Homelander. Homelander is then going to try to sneak an attack in on the Didact, but the Didact will block that using his hands, and the Didact will fire his own beams from his hands at Homelander. Homelander will then use his laser vision to try to hit the Didact, but the Didact will counter that with his beams from his hands. Then the Didact will punch Homelander, and he's going to summon his Promethean Knights, Promethean Watchers, to try to overwhelm Homelander. Homelander is going to get distracted by the Promethean Knights and Watchers, allowing the Didact to use his telekinesis on Homelander. Homelander is going to get stuck, and the Didact simply is just going to keep hitting him with his beams from his hands, and he's going to eventually crush him using his telekinesis. And Homelander will get crushed, and the Didact wins this battle. Now you might be thinking, can the Didact really crush Homelander like that? Well, yes, he absolutely can. If you don't believe me, just look at this picture. Now, the context behind this picture is that Black Team, a team of Spartan 2s, were sent to investigate the Didact and where he had fallen after the events of Halo 4. And just look at this picture and you can see it didn't end too well for them. Spartan 2s are some of the strongest warriors on in the Halo universe. And they could probably even give Homelander a good fight, if I'm being honest, because Homelander hasn't really ever fought someone equal or stronger to him. Homelander was got hit by a pencil getting stuck in his ear, and whenever Homelander tries to fight someone stronger than him or equal to him, he either tries to run away or he gets scared. Now, if that's not enough for you, there's also the fact that the Didact is able to use his telekinesis to lift Master Chief up. Now, I don't have the picture of it, but in Halo 4, everyone knows Master Chief gets easily just flung away from the Didact. I already talked about how Master Chief weighs more than 1,000 pounds, and that's not an easy feat for the Didact to lift Master Chief. If the Didact can lift Master Chief, I think he'll be easily capable of lifting and possibly stopping Homelander, even if he tries to escape his telekinesis. I don't think Homelander could escape his telekinesis, considering that he's probably going to start freaking out if he is stopped by the telekinesis. And again, Homelander is a bully. He doesn't know how to fight someone properly. All he knows is having power over weak people, but when someone strong as him, or even remotely on his level, tries to fight him, he either tries to A, run away, or he just starts freaking out. So yes, I do think the Didact wins. And if you don't believe me, I suggest you do even deeper research into the Didact. Because in the books, which I couldn't, there's much more evidence that the Didact is stronger than Homelander, but it would have made this video much longer. But in the books, the Didact is fighting ancient Prometheans, he's fighting incredibly strong Forerunners, and the Didact is the strongest Forerunner of all time. So, people don't just, because we saw the Didact in Halo 4 and not in any other Halo game, people don't really appreciate how strong the Didact actually is. And the Didact, think about it, is the strongest single villain that Master Chief has ever faced, other than the Flood. So the Didact is stronger than Atriox, he's stronger than all of the elites, he's stronger than even Hunters. And Master Chief accidentally killed 2 ODSTs when he was 14, and that was before he got his army on. And he killed them by accident. So how much stronger do you think the Didact is? So if Master Chief at 14 is able of accidentally killing 2 grown men, what do you think the Didact is capable of? A being who has lived for eons and countless centuries. And that is why the Didact is going to beat Homelander in this fight. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, leave a comment on your thoughts, whether you agreed or disagreed, and I hope you're able to have a wonderful day.